Before telling you the methods to change the habit, I will briefly make a detour to address the topic of how to find internal drive for change. Insomnia by itself is a very good motivator, and by doing this course clearly signals that you are highly motivated to resolve the matter. I have no doubt in that. However, since insomnia is a second order consequence, we will be addressing and changing behaviors and beliefs that lead to it because we cannot influence it directly. And there you might stumble on some difficulties with motivation. Let me list some examples where a similar problem occurs, but only for demonstrational purposes so that you understand where I'm aiming with this. We all want a great fit body, but only a few are willing to change their eating habits and the level of regular physical activity. We all want great relationships, but only a few are willing to improve their communication and empathy skills, seek compromises, give first before receive, and so on. We all want great riches after all, but only a few are willing to put the required effort and sacrifices and so on. Do you see now why having the skill of inducing an internal drive for change, meaning generating personal motivations for what is needed for that, what we're aiming for, is a great skill to possess by itself, and in case of insomnia, it's also mandatory what we need to learn. For certain, there are several ways how you can do this to find the motivation, and I will share two of them that I use. The first method is the usage of a sheer discipline. You achieve the desired through the brute force of your own willpower. This definitely works, and nothing is wrong with it. The only downside is that you're using your willpower, that is a very limited resource, especially if you have to do something often and the gratification of the effort is highly delayed, so meaning you're changing something on a long term. There is another way that requires a bit more investment up front, but afterwards works automatically, so it is much more efficient from the energy perspective. Before I explain it though, we need to take one more step back to have the complete picture in front of us. So we consider predictors of our lives to be genetics, environment, and behavior. We cannot influence the genetics, they are what they are, and we can only influence the environment through our behavior. So let us focus on that then. Our behavior is dependent on the choices we make, either deliberate, so conscious, or automatic, unconscious decisions. So to change ourselves, we need to understand how we make choices. A very simplified version of this would be the following. The mind, so the conscious and unconscious parts, they both evaluate the pluses and minuses and then make a call. If the pluses overweigh the minuses, the decision is accepted, otherwise it is not. In other words, we are motivated to say yes or no to a decision and consequently to a follow-up behavior. Now that we understand how motivation works, let's look how we can bend these principles to improve our lives. Let me show you what's the second method.